Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am super excited to show you a whole new series that I've been working on. This is Tool Tuesday. So with Tool Tuesday, I wanted to share with you guys all of my favorite tools. I have so many brushes sitting here in front of me. These are my beloved tried and true tools that have gotten me through all the crazy looks you see online. And I really wanted to find a way to bring you more information and give you tactical uses for all these tools. You know, you see something like this and you see something like this, and they're completely different tools with completely different purposes. So in this series, I'm going to be doing a weekly series where I break down the differences, how to use what tool and what they do for you. So let's get into it. Okay, today for Tool Tuesday, we're talking eyebrow brushes. And the reason I wanted to start with eyebrow brushes is because I have no eyebrows. I have alopecia. If you're newer to my channel, I have alopecia. I lost all my hair when I was 15 years old, hence the bald head. And my eyebrows went with it. So they've grown back off and on over the years. My eyelashes kind of fall out as they like to. This is the nature of alopecia. So every single day in the morning, I draw on my eyebrows from scratch. So today I wanted to show you the tools that allow me to make that happen. So this is the Anastasia 7B brush. This is one of my holy grail tools for drawing on my eyebrows. This baby is irreplaceable to me. I have looked high and low across the market and I have never found an eyebrow brush that is more dynamic and more precise than this brush. It's also got a spoolie on this side, so you can actually use this almost as an eraser to go through and kind of flick off any extra product. But if you have natural eyebrow hairs too, you can use this to shape the eyebrows. But the star of the show is actually this tip of this brush. You can see if I hold it horizontally like this, it's got one shape, and if I tilt it to the side, super, super thin and precise. So this is what allows me to draw on those hair-like strokes super easy. It's wild. So this allows me to give myself really natural hair-like strokes. And when you're drawing on eyebrows from nothing, I'm starting with nothing, you want to really create a natural shape. So that's why I've just fallen in love with this brush over the years. I've tried so many other brushes, but I still find that this brush, the Anastasia 7B, gives the most dynamic range for a complete eyebrow. So we can create really long, fluffy strokes in the front and then angle it a little bit more flat along the side of the brow and then all the way towards the tail of the brow. That's where we're gonna get our most precise hair-like strokes. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I'm thinking when I'm doing an eyebrow is how I want this arch of the brow to look. And the fun thing about not having any natural eyebrows is we get to kind of adjust that and make this shape change as we go on. So for today, I'm feeling pretty chill. I don't think I want a huge arch or anything. I'm just gonna keep it fairly natural. And if you're like me and you have alopecia and this is your first time drawing on eyebrows, I'm gonna give you a quick little tip, and I'll do a full tutorial on this at some point. But to measure our eyebrows, we can use the golden triangle little tip. And this is what I teach for a lot of young girls when I'm teaching makeup classes and teaching them how to draw on their eyebrows. We're actually going to use this 3-dot system to get a more basically a natural shape that fits your face, because my face is going to look naturally very different than yours, and we want our eyebrows to feel natural and like the right fit for our face. So the first dot we're going to use our tool. Actually, this is the Urban Decay brow blade. This is just an eyebrow pencil. So I'm going to start along the side of my nose, and right where the start of our eyebrow is, we're gonna leave a little dot there. So along the tip of the nose and straight up, that's gonna be our first dot. For the second one, we're gonna go along the side of the nose and almost pretend like we're drawing an imaginary line through this nostril and then through the iris of our eye. That's gonna be dot number 2. If I lift up, let's see, that's where a dot's gonna be. That's gonna be the arch of the brow. And then dot number 3, we're gonna go along the side of the nose, the far side of the nose, up past our very corner of our eye. And right where we would lift up that pencil, that's gonna be the tail of our brow. So now, if I connect those 3 dots, that's gonna give us a really great framework for an eyebrow. So if you're starting with nothing like me, this is a really great little hack. And of course, these are just guidelines, so you can draw on your brows however you like to. But for me, this is a really great starting point. You can go a little above that line, above the dots. You can go a little below. I'm just gonna start kind of lightly feathering in the shape of this eyebrow. And I'm using really, really light pressure This is the shade Cool Cookie from Urban Decay in this brow blade pencil. And I love this one so much because it is a waterproof formula. So this is going to keep our eyebrows on all day. I live in the desert in Arizona, so I need this makeup to last all day long. In the heat, in humidity, anything that you need this product to last for, it will survive, trust me. Okay, so I'm just going a little bit above and a little bit below that line that we created. Tiny little hair-like strokes. Cool, now we have a shape. Next thing I'm gonna do is just a little tip. If you are like me and you want these eyebrows to last all day long, I'm gonna take a little powder brush and whatever's just on there. I'm not gonna load up with new powder, but whatever's already on there, I'm just gonna use that and tap over my eyebrow. This is going to remove any oil that's sitting on the skin and really just set that in place. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, but you can already see how much more shape and balance an eyebrow gives the face. It is just a human thing. We were born with brows, so it's pretty noticeable when we don't have them. The difference between an eyebrow and no brow is pretty stark. Okay, so this is just the base of our eyebrow. You could leave it at this if you want. I am gonna go in and do some hair-like strokes here in a minute and just give myself even more depth and dimension. This product in itself is a tool. So this one has two sides. We have the side that we just used, which is that pencil, a waterproof pencil. And on the other side, we actually have a waterproof ink stain. So this is gonna draw on tiny little hair-like strokes. So if you're in a rush, you're trying to get out the door, getting this base down and then going in and using this product for tiny little hair-like strokes, that's a great way to just get out the door super quick and it lasts all day long. For the purpose of today, I want to show you how I use this Anastasia 7B brush. This one has just been such a ride or die tool for me for years and years. I think I've probably repurchased like 15 of these over the years. So I'm gonna dip into my pomade, and this is what I use to draw on my hair-like strokes. For me, this is the most natural look that I'm able to achieve. So I'm taking the KVD Dark Brown Super Brow Pomade, and this is a waterproof, last all day kind of product. Like, it will not budge, but you could also use it for eyeliner, anything like that. So I'm just taking a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm really using my brush to just pick up a tiny bit of that product, and I'm working it into the bristles of the brush so that it's not a ton of product, but enough to make a lasting mark on my face, right? So now that we've worked it in here, you can see the brush is even more precise because it's got that product packed in. So I'm gonna look down into my mirror. I'm gonna start right in the front of the brow, and I'm just gonna give some really tiny, up close detail hair-like strokes. So if you look at a natural eyebrow, our hairs don't all lay down flat. In the front, they kind of grow upwards, and then as it gets towards the end of the eyebrow, they lay down a little bit. So we're gonna use the shape of our brush here and kind of mimic that effect. So right in the front, I'm gonna do some little hair-like strokes so that it looks like a little fluffy. If you like a fluffy brow, this is a great tip for you. And I'm just using a super light pressure, going back in and dipping in as I need. And this is where we really create that true dimension in our eyebrow. So hopefully you can see this, but we're starting to give more of that natural effect and like a texture effect. Since we have that color down on the bottom and we're going over with a darker shade, it's gonna give a little bit more dimension and a realistic look to the eyebrow. And once I'm drawing in that fluff, I'm just gonna go underneath the front of the brow, really thin, light pressure movements here. And I'm just filling in and dragging that product all the way towards the end of the tail of that eyebrow. And then whatever is left on the brush, I can do the same thing across the top. And connect the top line with that bottom line, and there you have a little bit more of a realistic looking eyebrow. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side and I'll be right back. All right, now that we have that brown on, I'm gonna go through and add a little bit more dimension with a deeper shade. So this is a black gel liner, also from KVD, but you can use whatever you have on hand. And I'm just picking a little bit of that product. And again, I'm using the back of my hand as my palette to kind of work it into the brush and really load up on that product. And again, it's making the tip of this brush like so tiny and precise, which is exactly what we want for this amount of detail. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm just gonna draw a couple hair-like strokes to add a little bit more dimension and depth, especially since I'm doing some eye makeup after this that will be a little bit more dramatic. This will complement it really well to have a bit more darkness. And I'm just doing maybe 5 or 6 additional hairs here just to make it look like there's some contrast. There's some lighter hairs and darker hairs because that's how our hairs actually grow. They're not all one color, right? There's some thicker ones, some thinner ones, some laying down, some going up. So we're gonna try and mimic that here. And don't worry about this being too perfect because we're also going to go through with concealer and kind of clean everything up. So just really want to focus on the shape and adding any dimension that looks more realistic. All right, I'm feeling really good about these so far. So I'm going to switch to my concealer brush now. And this is kind of the second part of our tools for today. This concealer brush is going to help us make this eyebrow look super sharp and super clean. It's also going to give us a little bit more dimension and make this look like it's actually coming off the skin because natural eyebrow hairs would come off of the skin, right? So we want to create as much texture as we can. So I'm just taking a little bit of my NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is like a little pot concealer, but anything will work, any of your favorite concealers. And this is a tiny little lip brush. Technically it's a lip brush, but if you know anything about my style and the makeup that I do, everything can be used for multiple purposes, right? So this is traditionally a lip brush, fits perfectly into your lip lines and can give you precision on your lips. I love to use it as a concealer brush because I'm trying to get the most precise, sharp eyebrows that I can. So I'm working that concealer into the back of my hand. So there's not too much on the brush, but enough that when I hold this flat in the shape that I'm using along this eyebrow is really important. I'm not going in on the sharp side, I'm going in on the flat side. And I'm just gonna do a really thin line right underneath the eyebrow here. And I'm keeping that nice and lifted as I come towards the tail of the eyebrow. Then I can use whatever's left on that brush and I'm just going to smooth it all out. Now we have a nice little sharp highlight so it looks nice and clean. Now with whatever's left on this brush, I'm gonna go through and I'm actually gonna drag this right along the top of the brow just to give a little bit more structure and clean up any of my mistakes that I made along the way. So if we got a little too fluffy with our eyebrow, this is the perfect time to kind of clean it up. Just using a little bit of product. There's no new product on the brush, it's just whatever's left. And I'm using that to kind of clean everything up here. Okay, those are the brows finished. I'm obsessed with these eyebrows. You can make them thinner, you can make them thicker, whatever you like. You can make them fluffier. You can make your arch higher. That's the beauty of alopecia, is we get to kind of do whatever we want. All right, I'm gonna finish my makeup off camera and show you the finished look. If you recreate this look, please tag me and let me know, and I can't wait to see your looks. I'll see you in the next one.